Hello and welcome to the new Beverly Cinema, everybody. Happy 4th of July. Tonight's movie is The Right Stuff. It's a 30th anniversary screening. I've loved the movie since I saw it as a kid, and I asked Michael if he would program it. And I'm very excited that we have one of the stars of the film with us tonight. So please give a big New Beverly welcome to Veronica Cartwright.
Happy 4th. It's a different way to spend it.
It's an American classic. So I guess I'd like to start kind of at the beginning. Before this film, you'd worked with Philip Kaufman before. So what was the experience of working with Philip Kaufman like?
Well, I did Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Phil, and it was a terrific experience. He's just a great, lovely person and calm and knows what he wants, and he's terrific. So when this came up, he actually said that he wanted me to play Betty Grissom, and he had written it with me in mind, but of course I had to convince the powers that be. So I had been in a car accident in 1981 where I broke my leg in 35 places, and this interview came up, and I was 6 months in a cast, and I had 9 screws and an 8-inch plate in my ankle. And my mother, I had just gotten out of my cast, my mother had to drive me to the interview. And I dressed in red, white, and blue. I thought this was an appropriate thing to do. And as I got up the stairs and I walked, Phil came out. Well, I had a bit of a limp at this point. So I thought, oh my God, if he sees me limping, it's good. So I went, hey, Phil, what's happening? And I danced down the whole length of the hallway. I got in, I did my interview, and I just said, oh, please don't let him come out and say goodbye, because I just didn't know if I'd make it or not. And then when I found out I had it, I walked up and down stairs, and actually, when we do this scene where I don't get to see Jackie, we land in the airport, I had to wear high heels literally 3 months after this, getting out of this cast and everything, and I thought, oh my God. To me, my leg looks like a little beanpole, one leg and the other one's, and I sat there and I was so petrified I was going to limp or anything, so, but when I got to the other end, that I didn't know my mic had been on, and Scott Glenn referred me to Leroy Perry, who is a sports medicine guy who had done all the Olympic athlete stuff for the movie that they had done where they were all Olympic athletes and stuff. And so he's recommended that I see him when I got back to LA. So I did, and it was amazing. I'm fine now, but I tell you, it was memorable, let me say.
So when did Philip Kaufman or the powers that be or anyone find out about it? Not
About
even
my
until,
ankle?
Yeah,
Not
after?
until they heard, yeah, I didn't say anything. And as I'm walking down this long stretch, I'm like, is my leg swollen? Is my leg, am I limping? And they heard it over the thing, and they didn't know. So I guess it's just dedication. But Phil was great because when we did Invasion of the Body Snatchers, he always felt that I had a really great sense of wardrobe and what the character was. And so I always remember him going into the wardrobe lady and he says, just listen to her. And while I watched footage, we were all given an amazing amount of access to footage and material and everything for our characters. As a matter of fact, like Dennis Quaid got to meet his counterpart, and Chuck Yeager was there, and all of the, we did some tours, where we met people and stuff like that, and the astronauts, Alan Shepard was there, all these people. But I never got to meet Betty because there was a big lawsuit still going on over the fact that he had died. See, there was a big controversy because in the movie it says that he blew the pooch. In actuality, that's what happened, but he did not blow the pooch, which they proved later. But it was so embarrassing to Nassau and to making a big deal about something. It was all kept quiet. And he actually died in an accident where it was the one who had asked for pressure release for the, when you landed in the water. And this one didn't have any pressure release, and they actually all perished in there trying to get the hatch open, which is hideous. And so Betty, I don't think, was a little, she didn't want to be forthcoming because it was too tragic. So, but I did get to see a lot of footage, and I was fascinated by the fact that she had a straw purse that she took with her most places. It was like with flowers on it and stuff. It was like the most bizarre thing, but this is what she was going to meet Jackie with. So it's fascinating.
So what kind of research do you do when you're playing a real person? I mean, you just study this kind of archival footage?
Well, we looked at the archival footage. There was a lot of stuff, and there was we were all given backgrounds of where we were, born and how we met our husbands and were involved with the whole program and stuff. So when you're doing a real character, I think it's a little scarier because you want to do that person justice, and it's not coming off of your own imagination. It's coming off of reality. So you have to be careful, I think. I hope I justified her.
Yeah. So was it the first time you heard about this project, being contacted by Philip, or had it?
No, I had read the book. I read the book. I read the Tom Wolfe book, The Right Stuff, which I thought was great. And what I thought the script was brilliant, because the book is sort of like a train of thought and things that are said, but they're not spoken out loud. And what Phil did was took that book and made all of those thoughts the dialogue, which I just thought it was a brilliant translation. And I think very rarely can books translate into the movies and the movies be as good as the books were. And in this case, I thought he was right on. So,
do you have any stories about shooting?
About shooting? Well, yes, of course. Well, it was so interesting because we all had honey wagons, and of course we had to double up. And I don't know if you know what a honey wagon is. It has, if you're lucky, you have a toilet in it, and they're like all stacked up. But we had to share. So my person that I had to share with was Pamela Reed. Well, of course we wear these dresses that had like crinoline, sort of like big puffy things. So one would stand on the toilet and put on their dress. I mean, it was like the most ridiculous thing. Like two of us in there together, we'd both be sitting on this like bench with these huge dresses, or, oh my God, it was hysterical. So anyway, I was knitting in that time, so I knit her a sweater. It was a great group of people. The women all hung out together, and the males all hung out together. But there was this great place called Tosca's in San Francisco, which Sam Shepard had turned us all on to. There was a big pool room in the back, and it used to play opera music. So all the guys used to go down and play pool, and then all the women used to go down and we'd do our thing. We were like separate entities, which in a weird sort of way was what the movie was. We were sort of separated from them. But we all became a very close-knit group. And then when we did the big barbecue scene, well, we were in the Cow Palace for 5 days. Well, those sides of beef weren't very pretty after 5 days. And they would blow torches. Do not eat the meat. Do not eat the meat. Because it was, carving it off, and people are walking with, oh my gosh. And then I remember them all sitting there, and then they would bring in thousands of McDonald's. It was just unbelievable. Bags of McDonald's were handed out because do not eat the meat. They would be there with that blowtorch putting that glaze on over the top of it. It was disgusting. But it was a wonderful experience. It was really great.
Can you talk about, did you have a rehearsal process at all? Or, what's it like when you're doing some of those bigger ensemble scenes? And how does Philip work in terms of blocking?
Oh yeah, no, we absolutely. We all had major rehearsals, and everybody knew their characters, and he would allow some improv stuff. And the one scene where I have when we're back in the hotel room. That was an all-day shoot. I mean, it took hours we did it all in one shot. So we rehearsed it and it was blocked, and then Caleb Deschanel was our cinematographer, so he went in and lit it, and then we just started at the beginning of the scene and just kept going, and the camera just followed us around, and it's all one shot. So there was extensive rehearsal, and but everybody was up for the game. And then we had this fabulous troupe they're the photographers and the news people, and they were actually a group of sort of improv people. And God, they were a riot. They used to break out in song and sing all these wacky songs. Just insane, you know, Mr. Sandman. I mean, they'd break out in these. They were incredible. It was really fun, and they were like this cohesive group. And you can see them, they're all wearing their fedoras, and they're the news people that are all jumping up and down. And it brought a great sort of comradeship to the whole piece. And Jeff Goldblum, who's in this, he had been my husband in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, so the Dancing Belichicks. So.
What's it like working with Caleb Deschanel?
Oh my gosh, he's very meticulous. The lighting was amazing. I mean, he didn't have like standard lights. I mean, everything had these big shrouds of like silks all over the top of them, and I mean, the whole Cow Palace was lit, and it would be like on gimbals where they could just move the lighting, but it took hours to set up. It was pretty intense, but and it's so funny. You see Zoe now, and she's like 3 years old, and Emily was like, you know, just born. I mean, it's like 30 years is a long time.
You were telling me about the premiere a little bit in the lobby. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah. When they did the premiere of this movie, they took us all to Washington, D.C., and it was shown at the Kennedy Center. And we had military guard, and I mean, it was just incredible. You know, they're all standing there. And Chuck Yeager and had his whole team of jets, and they buzzed the Potomac. They came down, they just dropped down, oh my God, it was just like so totally thrilling. It was just amazing. And God, I've never been to a premiere like that. It was a big black tie, huge premiere. And then we all got into these limos, and they took us over to the Air Force Base. And there was one whole section where it had all these old the old planes, you know, the Sopwith Camels, and all of these old 40s planes, and he had like a Glenn Miller band playing, you know. Oh, it's just, and people were dancing out underneath these planes and stuff like that. It was like it was just incredible. I never had a premiere like that before. It was great. It was totally cool.
What were your first impressions? Is that where you saw the film for the first time?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What were your impressions?
Oh my, it was really something. I think a totally impressive movie, and the music is incredible, and it's really sort of so patriotic. I mean, it's perfect to see this on 4th of July, I think. Especially with Sally Ride last week, wasn't it 2 weeks ago, Sally Ride month for the ship that, the...
First anniversary of her death.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's her 30th anniversary of her ride in the Challenger.
Oh, of her ride in the Challenger. So it's a lot of 30th anniversaries going on here.